Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old because when I did MTV Cribs, the day that I had to go show off that house, my mom and my dad told me, we're getting a divorce, but you still have to go do this. I had to go show off all the stuff my whole life that was going to be taken away from me.
New horrific allegations have come out about what Diddy did to Aaron Carter, and this has seemingly led to Diddy's legal team becoming even more sure that their client is going to lose.
We all partied with Diddy. It's hard for me to truly get invested in what's happening to Liam Payne right now because I haven't gotten over what happened to Nick. Nick's brother, Aaron Carter.
Right.
A lot of people keep forgetting Aaron Carter was begging for help, begging for independent financing, begging for security.
It is said that Aaron died from drowning in his bathtub back in 2022, but many are skeptical. How could a person possibly drown in their own bathtub? The thing is, there are rumors that Aaron Carter was about to bite the bullet and expose Diddy's freak-offs 3 years ago, but he was taken out before he could do that. We will talk more about that later now. Though reckoning has come for Diddy, with new people taking the stand and talking about his alleged crimes.
The first week of the testimony in the sex trial against Sean Combs ended with a former member of one of Combs' musical groups on the witness stand. Dawn Richard says that she saw Combs attack Cassie Ventura in 2009. Richard is suing Combs in federal court, accusing him of sexual assault and battery. She'll be back on the witness stand on Monday. Richard's civil lawsuit is still pending. Does that impact how these attorneys approach her if they try to color this as some way of I guess, supporting her civil case? How does that difference impact the approach to these witnesses?
I think that can be argued either way. For instance, where the fact that Ms. Ventura's case, her civil case is already settled and the money's already been received, to me, that doesn't count against her. Perhaps it counts for credibility because she chose to participate in the criminal trial anyway. However, where Ms. Richard is concerned, the fact that she is participating when, frankly, a criminal conviction may harm her ability to recover. It may harm Mr. Combs' ability to have the finances, the funding to be able to pay any recovery. So there are risks either way. I just think that as people are watching, they need to remember trials involve humans, and humans are messy. So you don't have any purity tests in terms of your witness is on the stand and has never done anything wrong, or your defendant is on the stand and has never done anything right. There's a lot going on both sides, and it really is up to the jury to ferret that out as long as they are given the right facts and the proper instructions from the judge.
Diddy is being hit with some serious accusations. The government claims he operated a secret system that was engaging in illegal activities, such as transporting individuals from one state to another, concealing funds, exploiting his fame and influence for nefarious purposes, and assaulting his ex, and now the entire nation is scrutinizing. In 1 week, we've witnessed appalling revelations. Diddy's employees came forward. Dawn Richards and Cassie's best friend also took the stand.
Dawn Richard said, "You've met with government prosecutors 8 times over the last year and a half. And over the course of those 8 meetings, you've changed your story at least 4 times when it comes to multiple incidents." And Richard acknowledged that her story has changed. And she said that it's really just about her memory, that she tried to block all of these things out, and that she's been trying to remember, and all of these meetings with prosecutors has helped her. But it was not good for her that her story has changed so many times. And then they also doubled down on the fact that she has filed her own civil suit seeking money from Combs.
Chloe, we know Cassie Ventura's former best friend is also testifying today. What has she said so far?
So her name is Carrie Gordon, and when Cassie Ventura was on the stand last week, she talked a lot about this friend of hers that witnessed a lot of the abuse, and that this was someone that she confided in. And Miss Gordon, she's already taken the stand for a few hours. Right now they're on a lunch break, and she's expected to return this afternoon. And she said, "Look, I don't really even want to be here. I was given a subpoena. I'm forced to be here to testify. I haven't spoken to Combs or Miss Ventura since 2018, and that's because Combs assaulted me."
The FBI displayed what they uncovered in his residences. Diddy's attorneys are countering aggressively.
Breaking news, the Department of Homeland Security has just confirmed to CNN that federal law enforcement agents have raided properties owned by musician and producer Sean Diddy Combs. Let's bring in CNN security correspondent Josh Campbell and CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson. Josh, let me start with you. What do these raids by federal agents in multiple locations tell you about the seriousness of this investigation?
Yeah, Wolf, a very significant development here, seeing this law enforcement action taking place. I'll point out, just to be clear at the outset, we don't know that Sean Diddy Combs himself is the subject or target of a federal investigation. So it's just worth pointing that out at this hour. But what we do know is that two properties associated with him, we saw the feds descend on those properties. We saw on aerial footage, federal agents both here in the Los Angeles area as well as in Miami at those residences. Now, the Department of Homeland Security, their what's called HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, gave CNN a statement. I'll read you part of that when asked about what this activity is. They say that earlier today, HSI New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. That is it, confirming that they are conducting what they're deeming law enforcement action, which could indicate search warrants being conducted there, could indicate arrests being conducted. We just don't know at this hour specifically what that law enforcement action is. It is worth pointing out, though, that Combs himself obviously has faced significant legal woes in recent months. I'll give you just a kind of the highlights of what actually occurred. In November, he was sued for rape and abuse by a former partner. That lawsuit was then settled very quickly. But in December, he faced sexual assault allegations in a complaint filed in the Southern District of New York. The suit was brought by a woman referred to as Jane Doe, who said that she was 17 at the time when these allegations took place back in 2003.
This trial is not just about one man. It's about how power and money can be used in dangerous ways. The government says Diddy didn't work alone. They believe he ran a group of people who helped him do illegal things like trafficking drugs, moving people, without their permission and hiding money. The case got even more serious when federal agents raided Diddy's homes in Miami and Los Angeles. They took hard drives, computers, cash, and even secret files. This isn't a small case. Big government groups like the FBI, the IRS, and Homeland Security are all involved.
What the feds had collected, at least in part. We also learned the charges that Diddy faced: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. And again, Diddy's pleaded not guilty and denies those allegations. But this indictment, this OG indictment, which by the way, there's been a couple of superseding ones, adding a couple of charges here and there. Anyway, going back to the holy grail of it all, the original indictment, that's where we learned about what was collected, including all of that lube and baby oil. And all of this leads us straight back to the freak-offs and the civil cases that preceded the federal search warrants and then eventually the indictment. So Cassie, I know I talk about Cassie all the time, but we wouldn't be here were it not for Cassie. And Cassie's lawsuit is the one that first mentioned freak-offs. We heard about them again from Lil Rod. We've seen them in multiple different civil suits now, and additionally in the federal indictment. And here's how the Fed specifically explained freak-offs, quote, "Freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masqueraded during, and often electronically recorded." Now, they also listed a couple of items that were used during these freak-offs, at least according to the feds. They said that there were controlled substances used, and this was specifically to allegedly keep the victims obedient and compliant. The feds also state that during these freak-off situations, recording devices were used. Now, sometimes the people involved in the freak-offs, allegedly, didn't know that they were being recorded. And then other times, Diddy and his team, allegedly, would use these recordings as revenge porn and say, hey, if you come forward and report this to anyone, we've got this really embarrassing video. Why would you do that? So that's an allegation too. The feds also say that IV fluids were used in all of this, specifically because the people involved in the freak-offs had to recover from physical exertion and drug use.
These are not just old rumors. The charges are now in court with real lawyers, judges, and witnesses. And some of those witnesses are starting to talk. One surprising moment in week one was when the name Aaron Carter came up in court. Aaron Carter was a singer who passed away in 2022. Before he died, he had talked about problems in the music industry. He posted videos and tweets saying powerful people tried to control or scare him, how he had no control in his life.
I go on my Twitter and I see people saying, you look like you have AIDS, you should go die. I don't understand how I dedicated 22 years of my life to my fans, and now they turn on me.
In court, one witness said Aaron had tried to warn people about what was going on behind the scenes. The lawyers didn't say Diddy had anything to do with Aaron's death, with the mysterious circumstances of his death making plausible.
The mother of singer Aaron Carter doesn't believe he died from a drug overdose and wants his death investigated further. I'm Anjanette Levy, and welcome back to Sidebar here on Law and Crime. Aaron Carter was found dead in a bathtub in his home in Los Angeles last November. Since that time, TMZ has reported the LA County coroner did not find water in his lungs, meaning he didn't drown. Carter's mother, Jane Schneck, posted photos on Facebook that show the bathroom where her son was found. She wrote on Facebook, "Because of my son's mental illness and prescription drug issues, they, the cops, just wanted it to be something easy that they didn't have the time or inclination to address." Schneck wants a more thorough investigation. She wrote that her son was receiving threats from many people, and she believes there were people out there who wanted to harm him. So joining me to discuss this issue and the death of Aaron Carter is Joseph Scott Morgan. He's a forensic death investigator and also the host of the Body Bags podcast. Joseph, welcome back to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Antoinette. Good to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about Aaron Carter's death. He was found in a bathtub in his home. We see from these photographs that there was some discoloration in the water. I have a feeling that was probably from his body releasing fluids following his death. So what can we glean thus far, aside from the fact that he didn't drown? They didn't find water in his lungs, according to this report by TMZ.
Well, if you're talking about the death investigation itself, we can glean the fact that they haven't come back with toxicology results yet. So at this point, and as you know, medical examiners and coroners are, I don't want to use the term notorious, but it takes time for these things to be fully realized because these tests take time. You don't, in a death investigation, you don't want things hurried up. And it seems as though some parties that are involved in this case want it sped up. And that's the most dangerous thing you can do.
But they allegedly brought up Aaron's name to show that maybe more people knew something was wrong, but were too afraid to speak. This moment shocked people online. Some said Aaron's stories were ignored when he was alive. Now it seems like some of his words are being taken more seriously. Inside the courtroom, things were tense. Diddy's lawyers came ready to fight. His main lawyer said this whole case was unfair. He told the judge that the government is using old stories and media rumors to make Diddy look guilty.
I can't imagine it's thousands. I mean, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything. I don't know where the number 1,000 came.
Baby oil, more than 1,000 bottles altogether.
He has been ready to defend this case since he first found out about this case.
Diddy's case causing online chatter over the shocking discovery. The rapper's attorney telling all to TMZ as the outlet dives deep into the ongoing trial in their documentary, The Downfall of Diddy, The Indictment, streaming on Tubi.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for.
Yeah, it's the number of bottles going viral on social media, with Diddy's longtime nemesis, 50 Cent, dropping this meme on X. Meanwhile, Diddy's defense team offers this explanation.
I mean, he has a big house he buys in bulk. I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home. I mean, have you sat in a parking lot of a Costco and see what people walk out of there with?
TMZ reached out to Costco. Their rep says none of their U.S. locations carry baby oil.
He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent. And we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer. We're not giving up by a long shot. I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible. I don't think it was 1,000. Let's just say it's a lot, okay?
Let's discuss some of the details with Joey Jackson. He's a CNN legal analyst, a former prosecutor as well. Joey, thanks so much for being with us. This is Sean Combs' third try to get out on bail. Do you think he has a better chance this time around?
So he may, Boris. Good to be with you, and here's why. You heard Elizabeth reference the issue of the reporting, and here's why it's significant in terms of its manipulation. Just to reset, the critical to his denial on bail were really two factors. The one factor related to him being a danger to the community, the other factor being how he would potentially obstruct witnesses. Now, critical in the prosecutor's arguments at those previous hearings was the fact that there's this tape that everyone has seen, and they said, prosecutors did, that tape was in the context of a freak-off. It was in the context of sex trafficking. It was in the context of him being violent as it related to that count in the indictment against Miss Ventura, right, who's referred to as victim one. But here now comes the defense saying, hey, by the way, the prosecution has misled you, court. This had nothing to do with a freak-off, as is alleged, which were the parties that he was allegedly having, that is P. Diddy, with all of these instances going on with coerced sexual activity, etc., had nothing to do with that. It also had nothing to do with sex trafficking. This was a domestic dispute. Now, it doesn't make the violence in the tape, Boris, any more tenable, right? Violence is violence. It shouldn't happen, but it gives it context. Now, when you get down to the manipulation of the tape, the reordering of the tape, did you mislead the court? If they did, that's a factual question. A judge won't be too happy. Second brief point, and that is they're also arguing, the defense team, that there's the issue concerning his ability to prepare and be ready for trial. If you're going through and rummaging through his notes and other records that are attorney-client privileged and peeping at them and looking at them and using them against them, how could he prepare for trial?
These are not just old rumors. The charges are now in court with real lawyers, judges, and witnesses. And some of those witnesses are starting to talk. One surprising moment in week one was when the name Aaron Carter came up in court. Aaron Carter was a singer who passed away in 2022. Before he died, he had talked about problems in the music industry. He posted videos and tweets saying powerful people tried to control or scare him, how he had no control in his life.
Confirmed that Diddy was truly deeply evil. The evidence was right there. It was the final piece of the puzzle, revealing that Diddy had spent his entire life taking advantage of others to the point where his music empire was nothing but a front for his sick obsessions. At the same time, though, Diddy's arrest somehow created a lot more questions than it answered. We all knew he was a bad guy. Don't get me wrong, but now we're realizing that it went so much deeper, with Diddy starting to look like his sick, disturbing crimes might rival those of Jeffrey Epstein or Harvey Weinstein. Not just one bad actor, but instead the leader of a criminal operation carrying out revolting abuse and exploitation. And so now there are even more questions than there were before. How did Diddy get away with it for so long? What were the full extent of his crimes? But even more sinister, who knew about his empire of abuse and didn't tell? Who, out of his massive network of celebrity friends and powerful contacts, was joining in? The size and scope of Diddy's alleged crimes, combined with his control over the industry, implies a much larger web of deception and evil than most of us could have ever imagined before. It's to the point where somehow his arrest, finally putting a monster behind bars, opens more doors than it closed. So what and who was Diddy hiding? If you let Diddy tell the story of his own life, he's a hero. He spent massive amounts of resources and time throughout his career creating good optics for himself. Even as recently as 2021, one of the last magazine profiles that was ever done on him before his arrest tells us a lot about how Diddy wanted people to see him and what he thinks of himself. During that 2021 interview with Vanity Fair called With Love, Sean Combs, he talked about his new lifelong purpose that was literally sent to him by God. He says this:
I feel like God sent me. God put on my heart, what's your purpose? I was looking at all these things, preachers and different people talking about purpose, because I realized purpose is something deep. Have I really found my purpose? I know I'm making money and I'm successful and I'm changing the game, but is that my purpose? And then I really prayed on it, and God told me, your purpose is to play a part in saving the black race.
They say it was all hidden behind fake companies, NDAs, and threats. They also said Diddy's houses were like fortresses. Agents found secret rooms, cameras in every hallway, and safes full of cash. They even found a list of names and phone numbers labeled "Do Not Contact." One witness was a man who used to work as Diddy's bodyguard. Another was a hotel security guard who reported and stood with Cassie in her claims against Diddy.
In New York City, with the first day of testimony in Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex crimes trial. A After seating a jury of 8 men and 4 women, the prosecution delivered its opening statement, and they came out swinging. Prosecutor Emily Johnson said the public knew Diddy as a larger-than-life business mogul, but behind the scenes, he was forcing women into sex using violence and drugs to keep them in line. She said Combs had an inner circle that helped him commit sex crimes, drug crimes, other crimes, things like arson and kidnapping. And then came the graphic details from what we now know are called the freak-offs, where Diddy allegedly recorded sexual encounters that he'd arranged between paid escorts and his alleged victims, including his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. When it was the defense's turn, they didn't deny Diddy's temper. They said, yes, he can be violent. They admitted that. Remember, that's not what he's on trial for. They said, yes, he's got anger issues, and his actions might warrant domestic violence charges. It was clever that they said that. But trafficking and racketeering, again, that's what the federal case is about. The defense says those don't apply. And all that freak-off sex, according to the defense, they say it was consensual. They said that Diddy's love of baby oil, and this was actually a quote, they said the love of baby oil was not a federal crime. Cassie Ventura did not take the stand today. She is expected to be there tomorrow, and she better soon. This is another very interesting part of all of this. She is about to give birth to her 3rd child any minute now, and she's about to get on the witness stand, about to have a baby. Another twist. 2 witnesses were called today, including a former security officer at the hotel, where Diddy is seen on video attacking Ventura brutally.
A big part.
In court, one witness said Aaron had tried to warn people about what was going on behind the scenes. The lawyers didn't say Diddy had anything to do with Aaron's death, with the mysterious circumstances of his death making plausible.
In what has been an explosive start in the trial of Sean Combs today, a former member of the musical group Danity Kane is set to return to the stand to testify in the case against him. Dawn Richard testified Friday that she saw Combs attack his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura in 2009. CNN's Kara Scannell is outside the court with more details. What all can we expect to hear from her today as she takes the stand and later this week as well?
Good morning, Sarah. So Dawn Richard will be back on the witness stand this morning. Friday, her testimony, she said she witnessed Combs come downstairs into the kitchen, take a skillet with eggs in it, and attempt to hit Cassie Ventura, his then girlfriend, over the head. She also testified that Combs dragged Ventura up to the bedroom and she could hear glass breaking and yelling. The next day, Richard said Combs asked her to come back to his home into the recording studio. She said he locked the door and then told her where he comes from. People who speak sometimes go missing. She said that she took that as a threat. So she will be back on the witness stand this morning. Her testimony is supposed to wrap up pretty quickly, and then the prosecution is going to call Ventura's former best friend. We heard a lot about her last week. Her name is Carrie Morgan. She's expected to testify, and Ventura testified she was friends with Morgan before she met Combs and was friends with her throughout the relationship until Ventura said Combs hit Morgan, and that ended their friendship. So Morgan expected to be a prosecution witness who will corroborate some of what Ventura has said. After that, they're going to call a couple of people who worked for Combs, including a former personal assistant, a former chef. The prosecution said they also expect to call an escort this week, as well as Ventura's mother. Ventura has testified that she told her mother about some of the physical abuse at the hands of Combs at one point in their relationship. So she will be another witness that the prosecution is calling this week. And of course, this is just week 2 of what the prosecution says will be 6 weeks of their presenting their case to the jury.
But the pressure is growing. More people are watching, and some say other celebrities could be dragged into the case soon. There are rumors that 1 or 2 famous names might be called to testify either this week or next while his daughters are enjoying their prom.
Asking, was Mr. Combs made aware of these discussions? Richard responding, yes. How did he respond? Richard telling the court that Combs told her, stay the expletive out of my relationship. Y'all expletives are here to work. Stay out of my expletive relationship. The singer also testifying that after a 2009 skillet attack against Ventura, Combs told her the next day that Cassie was okay, and if we said anything, people could go missing. Prosecutors asking Richard, what did you take that to mean? Richard answering, that we could die. But attorneys for Combs sharply pointing out inconsistencies in Richard's account, asking if she knows the difference between hitting her with the skillet and attempting to hit her with the skillet or sitting it down. Defense attorneys asking, "You have about 4 different recollections of what happened that day." Richard responding, "No, I recall to the best of my ability." And as for the alleged threat, asking why Richard just told federal prosecutors about it for the first time last week. "You didn't tell federal prosecutors that people go missing, a comment that you testified you could die, you don't remember that?" Richard responding, "No, I don't know about the notes that were taken." Also Monday, federal prosecutors releasing evidence in the case for the very first time, baby oil in Ziploc bags and pictures of Ventura's injuries, including a fat lip after the 2016 hotel assault. Today, we also heard from Carrie Morgan. She and Cassie Ventura were best friends almost 20 years. She testified that after that 2016 hotel attack, that Sean Combs came to Cassie Ventura's home. He was beating on her front door with a hammer. They never answered the door on that, and they say their friendship came to an end in 2018 when she said she was assaulted by Combs, and Cassie Ventura told her she was over-exaggerating and milking it. Reporting live in Lower Manhattan, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Sean Diddy Combs is missing out on major moments in his kids' lives. As the music mogul's federal trial continues in New York, Combs' 18-year-old twin daughters Delilah and Jessie enjoy their senior prom in Los Angeles. The pair arrive fashionably late to the Harbor House in downtown LA May 17th. The girls, famously known for always wearing coordinating outfits, both don strapless sparkly red gowns and matching rose corsages as they smile and pose for pics on their big night. This outing for Delilah and Jessie come after they've been in NYC along with several of their siblings supporting their dad in the courtroom amid his ongoing trial. Combs has 7 children total. 30-year-old son Justin with ex-Misa Hilton, as well as 32-year-old adopted son Quincy, 27-year-old son Christian, and daughters Delilah and Jessie with Kim Porter, 18-year-old daughter Chance with ex-Sarah Chapman, and lastly, 2-year-old daughter Love with Dana Tran. The rapper, who's currently being held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, is charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs has pleaded not guilty to the charges but faces up to life in prison if convicted. With his trial set to resume on Monday, as former Danity Kane member Dawn Richard is expected to continue her testimony.
The rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody. If some of the accusations are true, that kind of covers things, when folks vanish, isn't it? Just like part of the gig, like, here's for instance, like your bit about Puffy, how you're going to connect these two, that bit is like, look, you don't have any real personal beef with Diddy, but it's got to go down the bits are there. I'm a gold miner. I just found some gold. You're right. Maybe I'm a sociopath. It's not that you're a sociopath. It's just that that's part of the gig. Yes. Like you're not a sociopath with your friends. No, I think I'm maybe an empath. Yes. But I guess it's one of those things where like you justify, you go, okay, I think this person might have done something bad. Yes. And he can get jokes. And we're all going to tell jokes. I'm not pressing charges. Well, not only that, you're not the guy who's out there like calling the New York Times. Hey, you know what? I heard about pity. Yeah, exactly. You're just like, it's there. I mean, it's not just there. It's everywhere, my tie. Newsfeed is dominated by it, Fox. This isn't just rap drama. It's an expose on how power corrupts from the inside.
Some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody. If some of the accusations are true, that kind of covers things. When folks vanish. Isn't it just like part of the gig? Like, here's a for instance. Like, your bit about Puffy.
How you're going to connect these two dots?
That bit is like, look, you don't have any real personal beef with Diddy, but it's got to go down. The bits are there. I'm a gold miner. I just found some gold.
You're right. Maybe I'm a sociopath.
It's not that you're a sociopath. It's just that that's part of the gig.
Yes.
Like, you're not a sociopath with your friends.
No, I think I'm maybe an empath.
Yes.
But I guess it's one of those things where, like, you justify, you go, okay, if there's I think this person might have done something bad.
Yes.
And he can get jokes, and we're all going to tell jokes.
Yeah.
I'm not pressing charges.
Well, not only that, you're not the guy who's out there like calling the New York Times, hey, you know what I heard about Diddy?
By the way, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're just like, it's there. I mean, it's not just there. It's everywhere. My fucking news feed is dominated by it. Fox.
This isn't just rap drama. It's an expose on how power corrupts from the inside.
This trial is
just getting started, and week 2 might be even more explosive than the first. More witnesses are coming, and the court could reveal new files, videos, or names that shake things up again. Diddy's team is pushing back hard, but the government isn't slowing down. No one knows how this will end. But one thing's for sure, the world is watching. Let us know in the comments what you make of Diddy's case going into week 2.